Friday. First of all, if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up, the like thing, hit the little bell for the notifications so you know when we make new videos and post them. Comment, do all that good stuff. Apparently commenting is important these days. Anyway, first of all, let me explain the thumbnail before I get into the video, because the thumbnail is actually a good example of the opposite of what I'm talking about. So here's the thing. We had an episode of MD Global Muscle. Giles Thomas does that, is On the Rise Studios over in the UK. He does that. And we put that out every Wednesday morning, 9:15. This week's guest was Zach Kahn, and the whole show was just Zach and Giles talking. He did some hot news at the end, going over news and stuff, but most of it was just in studio, Zach Kahn, ZKK, and Giles, talking about a lot of different topics and aspects of the industry and the sport. One thing that came up that Zach talked about that really resonated with me was that, part of the reason a lot of the pros, top amateurs, but especially a lot of the pros, even if they're retired, even if they're not competing anymore, they won't come off steroids because they don't like the backlash, the trolling that they get from the fans. Zach said it's you fans. You fans are responsible for a lot of these guys having health issues, maybe even dying. And I know that sounds harsh, but here's the point of view is, someone like Dorian in the thumbnail. Dorian Yates was the biggest bodybuilder of his era. Nasser was also big, but Dorian was enormous. He walked around at 300 pounds, pretty lean all year, would diet down for the Olympias. First Olympia that he won, he was 242. He won a few others more, like closer to 260. Big dude. And when he quit bodybuilding, he quit taking steroids, and he had injuries. He had obviously torn his tricep right before his last Olympia. He had torn his bicep way back in 94. He had a shoulder injury. He had a lot of injuries and couldn't train the way he wanted to train. And he didn't want to, he had no need, no desire to try to keep that muscle mass that he had carried those years as a pro bodybuilder. Once he was done with competing, he was done with eating 5-6 huge meals a day, taking all those drugs, training super heavy, super intense. Done. He'd been there, he'd done that. He won 6 Mr. Olympia titles in a row. Maybe could have won a couple more if he'd stayed healthy, who knows, without all the injuries. So he walked away from it all. And over the years, he downsized significantly. Now, don't get me wrong, if you stand next to Dorian, he's still bigger than most of you, I guarantee you. You think, he's tiny. Trust me, he's not. He's not tiny. He's still a very solid guy. He's much smaller. I don't know what he weighs. Let's say he weighs like 230 or something, down from 300. So he's a lot smaller than he used to be, but he's cool with that. He's comfortable in his own skin. He had no insecurities. His whole identity wasn't tied up into being this huge, larger-than-life character and all the attention and praise and acclaim and everything that comes along with that. Whereas a lot of guys, myself included, where we do thrive on that, and it is sort of our identity, and it's tougher for a lot of other people to ever let go of that, even if there's no reason. They're not competing anymore. Some of these guys are older. Some of these people, I've seen cases where people were in severe, had terrible health issues. I don't want to even name his name. He's passed away. But there was a guy, a bodybuilder. He was in kidney failure, and he should not have been using steroids or doing any more oil, anything like that. But his whole identity, his whole self-esteem, I believe, was wrapped up in being this big freak. And he kept on doing the steroids, and he kept on shooting up his shoulders and his arms. And he died not long after that. And he was only early 30s. I think he was like 32, 33, which is very, very young to die. But a lot of you fans will say, well, these guys should have thicker skin. They should be able to deal with the trolling and people making these posts saying, LOL, look how small he is. He lost all his gains. LOL, it was all, it's all sarcastic. Like, it was all hard work, all hard work and dedication. And they'll show the guys smaller. And they're insinuating that he was that way because of the steroids. And you know what? You can only carry that extreme amount of muscle mass on steroids. That's why people take steroids. And you should not take steroids forever. I shouldn't take them forever. I should go down to a TRT dose eventually, probably soon. I just got some blood work done. I'm waiting on the results. And if things are looking like I might be harming myself, you know, last I know of, I was doing fine. And hopefully I still am, knock on wood. But, you know, my life is more important. If I have to get a little smaller, I can do it. It's going to suck because I know I'll get trolled. People will say, and I'm not even that big. But if I get any smaller than this, people are going to be like, ha ha. Remember The Simpsons? There was that character, Nelson Muntz. He's like the bully, but he was always, anytime someone had any kind of misfortune, anything bad happened to them, he was right there going, ha ha. So that's kind of the voice in my head when I see all these troll posts. Or, you know, people make YouTube videos about it, like bodybuilders who lost all their gains or after steroids. It's mocking them. It's saying that, you know, they're nothing without steroids. And, you know, a lot of guys, if they stop taking steroids, but they keep training hard and they're on TRT and they keep eating that way, they're going to hold most of their gains, a good portion of their gains, I should say. Jay Cutler's a good example. Jay's still a big dude, okay? Jay's a big dude. I've stood next to him recently. I don't know what he weighs, like 240, when he used to weigh about 295, 300. So he's down, but he's still a big dude. And I'm pretty certain he's not blasting a ton of steroids anymore. I would venture to say he's probably on he's on TRT for sure. He would have to be. A little bit of growth maybe, but he's not on grams and grams of shit. So he's smaller, but he's still a big dude. And he's still very athletic looking. To me, he looks better this way. He looks healthier. He looks younger than he did when he was, you know, he was actually much younger, but the steroids make you look older. All right, I know it's time to get to you. It's time to get to your thoughts, concerns, opinions, because you're the fans, and I'm accusing you of being the ones that won't let these guys go off steroids, because you trolled them. You go, LOL, you lie. Look at this guy. Look how small he is. Ha ha. Because, you know, a lot of bodybuilders, they hate, a lot of fans are saying they hate the pros. They admire them in one aspect, but they're jealous of them because they can't look like that because they're genetic freaks. And even if most of you guys take all the steroids in the world, you can't look like that. You just don't have the right genetics. It's a sad fact. So, you know, there's always there's that Schadenfreude, that delight in that German word, delight in the suffering or misfortune of others. It's an ugly emotion, but it's universal to humanity. All right, so let's go to the live chat.
Ready to start eating healthy?
That was the ad for Kachava. What the hell is Kachava? Derek deadlifts. Fans will be fans regardless of your physique. Build an emotional connection with them, not just a physical one. Yeah, I think if all you have to offer fans is the way you look, good luck with that. You know, these days you have to have some kind of personality and interaction with them. You can't just post up pictures or how great you look, videos of you grunting and lifting weights. Derek said, also, have a good one, guys. I'm busy at work. All right. Kevin Ghosh, Ron, if you're a pro bodybuilder today, just got your program, would you go to 212 or open? Well, I would have to go 212. There's no way I would weigh more than, drugged out of my skull. I mean, let's say I'm make it the younger Ron. Make it when I was in my physical prime. You know, like I'm 52. I'd say my prime was probably age early 30s to about 40 was probably the best I looked, the biggest I was, the most, you know, I had injuries were starting to rack up. But anyway, yeah, I would never have been, I don't think, more than 220, 225 in shape with all the drugs in the world, great training. So I would have had to go down to 212 open. I would have gotten crushed. 212, I'd get crushed anyway, because my shape's not that great. My arms, you know, unless I blasted my arms full of synthol, I would have been an awful pro. And I fully admit that. The only reason I harp on the pro card thing so much is because I know a lot of guys around my area, or at least a few, I should say, who they couldn't even win like local shows here, but they're pros now. They just got very lucky at some Masters qualifying event and they're pros. And wah, poor Ron's not a pro. Wah. Because then I could change my Instagram to IFBB Pro Ron Harris. Imagine that. Oh boy. But you guys, people do put more credibility. Mark Lobliner just turned pro, and he said instantly he has a lot more credibility with people for just because he has pro in front of his, attached to his name. He's just as smart as he was. He was just as smart before, just as experienced about training and all that, nutrition and supplementation. But now that he has pro with his name, all of a sudden people are like, oh wow, you're a pro. Let's see. Pat Wolfman 83, probably born in 1983. You're a young dude. Young to me. People have opinions. Try not to listen to them. They're often not important in your life. I agree, but it's kind of like cyberbullying. People can rip someone apart online, especially like young kids. The bullying now, most of it doesn't. I don't think most of the bullying is like it was back in my day, where they'd stuff you in a locker or beat you up or something. Things that used to happen to me. I think it's actually worse now because it's insidious. It's behind keyboards and anonymous accounts, and they can drive. Kids have been driven to suicide by this cyberbullying, by all the harassment and mocking that they get, and kids making memes about them and posting up embarrassing videos with them. Kids have killed themselves. I mean, it's awful. I mean, some of the people who were charged, some of the teenagers who were charged in it, some of them felt like no remorse. It's like, oh, it's just the internet. It's just social media. They need to. It's just jokes. It's just just having fun with you. Meanwhile, the kid friggin', I remember like I think he was like 11 or 12 years old, a young gay kid that got harassed, and he hung himself in his closet. 11, 12 years old, and he hung himself, and he's dead. Anyway, all right, I'm off on a tangent. Our stuff, you're looking jacked, Ron, thank you. Do you think guys in the 70s and 80s had the same problem afterwards? No, you know what? In the 70s and 80s, they would go off drugs most of the year. They would. Well, I don't know about the 80s. Let's keep it to the 70s. I remember I've seen a lot of pictures of Arnold when he was not anywhere near a competition. He would go down to like 210, 215. I'm being dead serious. He would look very athletic, very functional, but he wasn't huge at all. And back in those days, what most of them did in the 70s is they would just train naturally. They trained all year, but they would only go on drugs, I don't know, 12 weeks leading into a competition, maybe 16, I don't know. But they would grow into shows because they would eat more, they would train harder, and they would add in the whatever they had back then, Primo, D-ball, Winstrol, the basics. They didn't have Tren back then. They didn't have growth hormone. They weren't using insulin. It was just a few basic steroids. So they weren't insecure about downsizing. It was just, that's what everybody did. Nobody back then was on steroids year round. There was no reason to. Unless they were getting ready for contests, they didn't see the point. And, they weren't, I don't think it was an issue with risking their health. They just didn't want to use them all the time. Whereas now we have, Instagram, you have YouTube, you're on display all the time. So people, if you lose 10, 20 pounds, if you lose a significant amount of muscle mass, people will call you out on it. People will make fun of you. Sometimes they do it in that backhanded way where they're like, are you okay? They act like they're concerned for your health or whatever, but they're actually just pointing out the fact that you're smaller. But back in the day, the guys back I think even into the 80s, it was very common for guys to go off for long parts of the year, whereas now, very few guys ever go off. And a lot of guys are on blast cycles all the time. They'll adjust it up and down, but there are a lot of guys now who never ever go off. And that a big part of it is because they can't lose that look, because they're constantly putting out content for themselves, for their own channel, their own page, for their sponsors, and they have to look good. Ryan Z, LOL. LOL, I hate when you start with LOL. Would these guys start taking steroids before they have a single fan? Yeah, a lot of people do that. These guys say, I can't wait to take steroids and look more ridiculous. Yeah, the whole thing with taking steroids right when you start training, which is common now. Ron gives it the big thumbs down. Oh, God. I hate seeing that shit. Mr. Huge, Ron, do you donate blood while you're on a cycle or TRT? No, I don't. I'm very strange. I have a lot of peculiarities, a lot of eccentricities, and I hate losing blood. I have no problem with injections putting things into me, except the vaccines, the boosters. I did get one vax shot, but anyway. YouTube, please don't take me down. I was just kidding. I wasn't talking about the vaccine or the virus. I don't have a high hematocrit. My blood doesn't seem to get that thick, so there's no need. But, I know a lot of guys do that. Kenneth, kid, if peeps can't say something nice, then don't say it. Any muscle, natural or not, takes hard work. Most of the trolls don't even lift. Big fan of you, Ron. Thank you, Kenneth. If that, that old adage, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, there would be no Twitter, there would be no Instagram, there would be no comments on YouTube. There'd be very few. People like to talk shit. It's just, people are people. Omar, LOL, Unity, damn Marcus Rule got a brother. Me? I've seen pictures where I thought I looked like him. There's any of you guys got the Dorian book, Blood and Guts? There's one picture where we look alike. Only one out of, like a million. He's doing I think it's because there's chapters for his different body parts that each different body part. It's one where he's doing like a curl. Like, I think it's like a hammer strength curl machine, and he's like this. From the side, we do look, yeah. But then from other angles, not so much. Marcus was a big dude. Jesus, I don't take vaccine either. Region. Oh, vaccine. You're spelling vaccine phonetically. Research. Yeah, we can't start talking about that. They'll shut me down. Yeah. Facebook and YouTube are very, they're very much into censoring, any misinformation, which misinformation is just anything that they don't agree with or anything that, the government, the CDC doesn't agree with, but we can't get into all that. So, it's, Zach talked about, I'm getting back to the original topic here. A lot of bodybuilders are very, very insecure. I mean, I came to bodybuilding out of insecurity, being a small kid who was bullied and, no attention from girls. I wanted respect from other males, and I wanted, lustful attention from females. So that's the reason a lot of people get into it. Most guys who get into it, bodybuilding, or trying to build up their bodies, it's to, I hate to say compensate, because then people say, oh, what, for a small penis? No, to compensate for feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem. And, it can be a really positive thing. Like, my son, he's not huge by any means, but he's a lot bigger than he was. He's 22, and he has a lot more self-esteem, a lot more confidence now that he's got some muscle. He's got a lot of good-looking female friends, a lot of male friends too. But I'm just saying, I think it helped him out tremendously as far as boosting his self-confidence, his image. He doesn't have an unhealthy obsessive fixation with bodybuilding like me at his age. At his age, that's all I thought about. Here I am, 52. I'm still eating every 2 hours. I'm still at the gym for 2 hours every morning. So, I'm glad my son's not like me in that aspect. Let him live his life. Bodybuilding, training, and all that. The gym, that can be a part of your life. It shouldn't be your whole life unless it's your vocation, which for very few people it is. Mr. Huge, do you do PCT or stay on low test when you finish your cycle? So I'm not on, I clarify this all the time, because true TRT is just taking enough testosterone to put you into normal ranges. And it's done through a legitimate doctor if it's true TRT. And that'll range anywhere from 100. A lot of guys are only on 100 milligrams of test a week. That's all it takes to get them into the proper range. 100 to 200, 250 is pretty high end, but a lot of guys are on 200 or 250 a week. And that brings their testosterone free and total into the ranges that are where they look and feel their best without being excessive, without abusing. So I do every 4th day. So let's say I took a shot. Let's say I took a shot yesterday. That would be Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I would take another shot. Every 4th day, it's 200 milligrams of test and 100 milligrams of DECA. That's what I do all the time. So every 8 days, I'm getting 400 milligrams of testosterone, cypionator and anthate, and 200 milligrams of DECA. And I'm on 2 to 3 IUs of GH every night before I go to bed. If I blast, I will add in, I'll take out the DECA. The test, I might inject every other day. A blast cycle for me would be like 500 milligrams of test a week, plus like another, if it's tren, I would only do like 300. I don't think you need a lot of tren. I don't think you should use a lot of tren. If it's equipoise or something like that, it'd be like 400 milligrams. So it's still under a gram, but it's still way, way, way more than TRT. And why? It's just pure vanity. I like to look and feel a certain way. And especially in the warmer months when you can wear tank tops, you can wear shorts, I like to look good. It's pure vanity. I just like to look good. Yeah. Hazel Bagel. Lifting weights is something you definitely have to have a passion for today after year. Yeah, I mean, I love training. I would always train, even if I go down to TRT, which is very likely to happen fairly soon. Even if I wasn't on TRT, but why wouldn't I be on TRT? I love training. I love training. That's the best part of my day. I love going to the gym. I'm always trying to figure out ways to get a better pump, better contraction, feel the muscle, better mind muscle connection, tweak the angle on an exercise, change my grip, put my hand here on the handle instead of here, always screwing around with different things to make it more interesting and feel the muscle work differently. You know, I could do that all day. If I wasn't like, if I was unaware of overtraining, and I didn't have anything better to do, I'd be in the gym all freaking day. Love it. Lifting weights. Kevin Ghosh, Ron, do you like women bodybuilding in the 90s or 2022? I definitely followed it a lot more closely back in the day. I have tremendous respect for all bodybuilders, male, female, trans, whatever you are. Wheelchair, 212, open, classic physique. I followed it much more closely back then when there weren't so many of them, and they did look more feminine. You know, we're talking about Corey Everson, Penny Price, Tanya Knight, Laura Cravell, Debbie Mugley, Sharon Bruneau, Bev Francis, Linda Murray. It was a different era. You know, all respect to Andrea Shaw, to Iris Kyle, to all the more modern female bodybuilding champions. It's Helly Trevino, you know, all of them, Mayla Ash. There's a lot of great female bodybuilders out now. I just don't follow it as closely. It was easier to follow women's bodybuilding back then because all we had was men's and women's bodybuilding. There's two divisions. Now, boy, you have to follow men's physique, classic physique, 212, open, that's for the men. For the women, you have bikini, fitness, figure, wellness. What else? I know I missed one. Bikini, fitness, figure. With wheelchair, there's 11 divisions now altogether in the IPB Pro League. It's a lot of different athletes. Literally something for everyone. Did I deflect that question well enough? Thank you. Alex Silva, and when do you plan to call EMT for your heart attack? Well, I get my heart scanned every year. I do a calcium score once a year, and I get, ultrasound. My heart looks fine. So my blood pressure was like 112/60. My blood pressure was great. I just had a doctor's appointment, my annual physical earlier this week. So I don't seem to be at risk for a heart attack. So if you were trying to imply that I'm about to have a heart attack, Alex, no such luck. All in the name of vanity. Yeah. I know that. I agree with you. That's not good. I agree with you. You know, I'm trying to be transparent here. I'm not high and mighty. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm not as healthy as probably I could be. Yeah, I admit it. Mr. Huge, when you're on a cycle, do you feel anything? I mean, I feel bigger. I feel better. Or a cycle, do you mean like when I'm blasting? I don't like to use Tren that often. It's a very strong, very powerful drug, but I don't like, it does make me start to feel like paranoid, aggressive, hostile after a certain point. You know, I can manage it, but it's not fun to feel that way. Abbas Muhammad, Mr. Ron, my coach recommended 250 of test Cypionate with 250 of DECA with Provire and his PCT for the last 3 weeks. What do you think of the cycle? First of all, if you have a coach, you should only be hiring a coach that you have full faith in. You shouldn't be asking someone else, what do you think about what my coach wants me to do? If that's the case, then you shouldn't have that coach. You should only work with people that you are confident, know what they're doing, have your best interests at heart. They're not going to hurt you. They're going to help you achieve your goals as safely as possible. But you shouldn't be asking me when you have a coach. I don't do a lot of cycle critiques because I'm not a steroid expert. I'm not. Typically with DECA and tests, you want to run more tests, twice as much test, to avoid that whole prolactin overproduction and the DECA-DIC situation, which no man out there wants a limp noodle, of course. So, yeah. Proviron is PCT. Do you think I should take Arimidex during the cycle? The thing with AIs, aromatase inhibitors, is if you don't need them don't take them because they have their own side effects. I've said this before. I was about to hop on Arimidex myself a couple years ago because I saw from some blood work my estrogen was really high, which it would be from all the tests. From, if your test is super high, your estrogen is going to be high to match it. And I was about to, and Dr. Thomas O'Connor, he stopped me. He said, "Ron, what are your symptoms? You feeling this, that?" I said, "No." He said, "So why are you going to try to manage your estrogen when it's not giving you any trouble?" Because one thing, the aromatase inhibitors, all those, and estradiol, they crash your good cholesterol, which is bad for your heart. You need your good cholesterol to protect your heart. So yeah, heart's pretty important. We all chase looks. It's my first cycle. I'm only reading this name because it sounds like a really cool Greek name. Theophilos Spiropoulos. Proviron is PCT, dropped the coach. Andre Blaise, hi from Quebec. Jamais. Quebec license plates say Jamais Sauvien. I'm sure I fucked that up because I didn't take French, which means I remember. I don't know what they're remembering. Some past event. Yeah. A lot of Quebec. When I went to with my wife a couple of years ago to Old Orchard Beach in Maine. Yeah, it's a vacation spot. A lot of people come down from Quebec, so there's a lot of French Canadians partying and hanging out on the beach. Isaac Levi, just been looking at Nick Walker's recent competition history. He must have been blasting for well over a year straight. Yeah, I don't know, probably. His blood work must be horrendous. I've never seen it. Don't know. But if someone's doing a lot of competitions, not Nick, but anybody in general, you would have to be on gear for, you wouldn't have time to come off if you, sorry, if you're doing show after show after show. So that's one thing about competing a lot that's not healthy, obviously, is because you have to be on gear for all that time. Hazel Bagel, as a natural, the only natural aromatase inhibitor I can find is dark chocolate. Well, as a natural, it really shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't have issues with that. You shouldn't have really high estrogen if your testosterone is not super high. So you don't need to worry about it. You don't have to worry about your estrogen. So just keep doing what you're doing, guy. And props to you for staying natural. It's not easy. Drugs are so tempting. So tempting. Good Lord. Sensel. Nick is not taking his foot off the gas. Same with Brett Wilkin, Hazel Bagel, or Chryson, but meh. That's where the progress has been magnificent. Yeah, we're not here to talk about Brett or Nick or any of that. Not today. Theophilos. Time on, time off isn't a thing off. For these people, the insulation protocols are not what people have in mind. Time on equals time off isn't a thing for those people. Yeah, it's not very common for people to do that anymore. And again, I 100% blame, like social media. But also, guys don't want to come off because they're thinking, okay, well, I compete. I need to be on drugs to diet and keep my muscle while I'm competing. Competition day comes and goes. Take a few days or take a week off the gym, but then you're back in the gym, and a lot of guys are like, well, I want to make some really good rebound gains now that I'm not dieting and I don't have to do 2 hours of cardio a day. That's too much. So they're back on the cycle for that. And then, eventually it's time to diet down again for a show. So they never come off. Yeah. Our stuff, you mentioned transsexual. Is that really a possibility in bodybuilding? Yeah. There's no category for it in pro bodybuilding. I don't think there will be, but Hector, where's Hector? Sometimes Hector Mendoza. He sent me something that shows, I think it was a new organization, an independent bodybuilding organization for trans bodybuilders. And, I interviewed, I did a Ronline report a year, or maybe it's been 2 years now, with Alex, a young gentleman. He's a female to male, transgender. Trains at Bevan Steve's gym in Long Island. Alex Srilanka. Damn good physique. I mean, better arms than me. Shit. And he's competed a couple times in men's bodybuilding now. You mentioned sure. Do I like oral steroids, Ron, my friend? That's being held for review. I like them for the fact that they work very quickly. I don't like to stay on them because they are liver toxic. What I will do is sometimes take a low dose, 25 milligrams of like Winstrol under my tongue on the way to the gym. And that's it. I'm not taking it the rest of the day, and I'm not taking it days that I don't train. I got that idea from Larry Pollock, who I did an interview with a few months ago. Okay, geez, 3 o'clock, guys. Well, that's all we have time for now. Gotta take my dog on another walk. Branch the pit bull needs a lot of exercise, little guy. So appreciate you guys watching. Again, please, if you like the video, hit that thumbs up thing, subscribe to the channel. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Please take care of yourselves. Love you all dearly. And we'll see you next time.